Hello and welcome to Queen TV. We are so glad you tuned in today. I'm Dr. Arnessa Bennett,
And I'm Esther Adriana Santos.
and today's show we're going to talk about living a low carb lifestyle. Now
Woohoo!
we are not medical doctors, we are not dietitians. What we are doing is just sharing what we're doing to help us to either maintain or lose weight. And it's living a low carb lifestyle. So, you want to start telling us some of your secrets to low carb lifestyle?
Oh my goodness. Arnessa, this is how our conversation kind of started. Well, we started all over the place, but we started talking about food. Like
Yes.
food, talk about like food is such an essential component of who we are as women, our cultures, right?
Oh,
Like it's so integrated in our life. And I feel like many times the way that we grew up, it's kind of hard to kind of stay healthy because it
yes.
contradicts everything that we've learned, right? So I had been, reading about a low carb slash, you know, keto. I mean, we're not doing a keto session. We're talking about low carb, but if you ever want to transition into keto, low carb would be a really good way to start to kind of help,
Yes.
your metabolism going and, going the right way. So, really my journey started because I had put on some weight several years ago and I learned that it was more of a hormonal imbalance in my personal
Oh,
life. I
mhm.
realized that when I had sugars in my life, even though like I don't have a sweet tooth for the most part, I'm not a
Mhm.
sweet kind of person, but I love my carbs. Like I love pasta and I love rice, like the Puerto Rican Spanish food in me, like rice and beans is my thing. I mean, I can eat rice by itself, right? So I've always been like, well, I don't know why I gain all this weight. I don't know why I lose weight. I don't eat sweets. But I never realized how much carbs was impacting my body.
Because
And so,
the rice and pasta turns into sugar.
well, I didn't know that, right? Or I didn't know the severity of it. I was like, well, my body, like, that's not it, right? That can't be it. And so I did the research and I said, let me do this for 2 weeks. Well, let me tell you, 2 weeks changed my life.
Yes,
I
it can.
lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks, not working
Wow,
out.
that's good.
I mean, and I'm not a soda drinker. I'm pretty lean in what I eat. My thing has always been the rice. And I learned what by experience in those 2 weeks what sugar and carbs does to my body. I
Hmm.
learned that all those like shakes that I used to get, like I used to get like shaky. Sometimes just these very strange, like my body would go through these strange things. And I'm like, why do I feel like this? And when I was in that low carb, practically very, very low carb, my body went through a transformation in 2 weeks and I couldn't believe how I felt. I feel like I live those weeks day to day still. And it really helps me to stay motivated to stay on it because I'm like, if I can feel that good and lose that kind of weight,
Yes,
like,
yes.
I mean, that is an incredible motivation. And, anyway, we started having our conversations, and Arnessa was like, "Yeah, this is great. I did this too." And so we started just going on this journey together and just being each other's accountability partner. For me, that's always been the hard part, Arnessa. I don't know about you, like trying to find a person that like likes the same
Mm,
thing as you to kind of keep you on track,
yes,
right? Like it's
yes,
hard to find.
yes.
Um, so I feel like this is where we were like, yeah, let's just add this as part of our conversations. And so
Right.
you shared some amazing ideas with me. And I know the days that I was just not motivated, I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. You're like, no, but you should try this. And I was like, okay. And I did. You gave me your chili recipe,
Yes.
which was amazing, by the way. I had chili for 3 days and I did really well for 3 days. And I learned it's all about having the good recipe. Like I learned
Yes.
it's about having the right ingredients at hand, having the
Yes.
right recipe, and that way you don't mess up, right? So like what's
Right.
your secret, Arnessa, to like really being able to keep this up?
Well, let me kind of give you a little backstory, as they say. Let's unpack some things. I
We
love
all
when they
got
say that.
backstory, right?
Uh, my grandmother and my mother's sister all passed from dementia. And it was because they had had strokes. And then when I started really doing the research about dementia and, what you can do to prevent it, the key thing I kept reading about is lower your sugar, lower your carbs, lower your sugar, lower your carbs. And I'm thinking, okay, it's something to this. So I started before I got married, and that was, see, I've been married almost 12 years. So about 14 years ago, I lost 100 pounds doing low
My
carb.
God.
And when I got married, the weight started coming back on because we eat out a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, we eat out. I went from a 10 bottom, 12 top to a 16 when we got married. And we started dating in September. We got engaged in October, well, November. He bought the ring and everything. January, we got married. So that's just a few months. I went from a 12 to a 16.
Wow.
So I knew that I needed to do something to not keep going, keep going. And that's when I always could go to the low carb. Now, I tried to do the vegan because that's the popular thing. As I've said in some of my other videos, the vegan didn't like me
Yeah.
because the gas, I'm 61, and that gas would get so bad to I felt like I was having a heart attack. So
Wow.
I knew I couldn't go that way. So getting back on the low carb, I can already tell my face is starting to get chiseled,
I can
my
tell the difference.
cheekbones.
Yes.
So and my clothes, I haven't gotten on the scale because I'm to the point I don't want to get on the scale. I think my clothes and how I look and feel is
Yes.
gonna be, of course, when you go to the doctor, they're gonna make you on a scale. But I have learned some things that make me feel good. And when you get to my age, it ain't always about looking good, which we all want to look good, but you want to feel good. You don't want to be in pain. You don't want to hurt. And that's what I was trying to work on, along with your brain, because the low carb lifestyle, the stuff that I have studied, it helps with your memory. It helps with people who may have some type of disease, people who have anxiety. If you cut that sugar or bread or things that turn into sugar, you'll be surprised how good you will feel.
Wow.
And so that's one of the reasons when you said that a couple of months ago, low carb, I'm like, ding, it was like a light bulb went off. Go back to the low carb.
Yeah.
You've done it before.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And I definitely encourage women out there who are really trying to get a healthier lifestyle. And, with this whole quarantine and COVID issue, to
Whoa.
stay home and be good when you can just sit on the sofa all day and eat chips and, have all those potato chips.
It's not
It's
good.
easy, but
It's easy, but it's not good.
yeah.
And
Then come
then,
next year when you're able to go out and you try and put all your clothes back on, especially those pants that you haven't needed to wear for a year almost. You're like, oh my God, like, we've got to be careful because when we kind of let ourselves go, we
yeah,
then regret, For
yes.
me personally, Arnessa, there's this fear of regret that I have, like in a good sense,
Mm-hmm.
is I make decisions and I'm like, am I gonna regret this? Like, am I
Oh
gonna
yeah.
look months forward and if I keep up doing this, am I gonna have a sense of regret and say I should have? And I think there's no worse thing that us as you know empowered women that want to take
Yeah.
charge of our life to like live in regret. So, I believe these choices come from education, which this is,
Yes.
a little bit of, just some tips that we've, come across that we just want to share with all of you. And
I have a great one.
yes, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. I have incorporated intermittent fasting. I used to hear about intermittent fasting. I'm like, what is that? So I did some research. Since I worked on my PhD, I have learned the art of researching. And what I learned about the intermittent fasting, once you keep doing it, you won't feel hungry. My problem, I think the reason why I ate so much and gained weight is because I realized that once I start eating the carbohydrates, I was like a carbohydrate addict. Once I start eating it, like I want some more. Just like bread. If I eat some bread, then I want some more bread. And then I'm gonna want some more bread. Or if I eat some chips. But once you do the intermittent fasting, then when your first meal is something that is low carb,
Yes.
you'll get to the point where you have to make yourself eat. And I never thought that would be me.
Wow.
But
Wow.
by the time I eat, usually sometime I want breakfast for my time is I stop eating about 7. Now that the time has changed, between 7:30 and 8, that's my last meal. Then I usually break that fast about 12:30, 1 o'clock. Depending on if I'm busy, it may be 2 or 3 o'clock. But sometimes all I have is some scrambled eggs, a couple pieces of bacon, and I eat that and I am full. It's almost like, okay,
Wow.
who is this person? Who is this person? And when I go out to eat now, if I order like steak and asparagus, sometimes I eat part of my steak. Sometimes I try to eat all of my vegetables, and I end up bringing part of my meal home. But if you try intermittent fasting and you keep up with it at least 2 to 3 weeks,
Mhm.
your appetite will go away.
Wow. Wow. And that's key. I think that's one of the hardest things of really keeping this up is the cravings, right? Isn't it the
Yes.
craving that really just it almost can bring you to a point of anxiety if you know that you can't eat what you normally want to eat, and then it makes you take things that you shouldn't be eating. So
Hmm.
I love that. I love that idea. I wouldn't say that I'm completely there yet with the intermittent fasting just because I'm a late night eater. Like I love eating late, and I'm
But
I'm a night owl.
that's how
And
you
so,
gain the weight, though. That night,
yeah,
sleeping
yeah,
on that food. You got to at
yeah,
least wait. If you're gonna eat late, don't lay down and give yourself at least an hour or 2 hours before you
yes,
actually lay down.
yes, absolutely,
But then
absolutely.
I do have something for, like, let's say for instance that we had company and we were up late. If I have some pickles, I can
Oh,
eat some pickles and that'll help the craving. And you'll be surprised how the pickle just satisfy that.
yes, yes. What are some, let me ask you, what are some the grocery list that you know that you must buy every week so that you have not just the meal, but stuff that you buy every week that you know you need for your low carb diet, such as pickles? Like, what else do you have that you buy on a normal basis?
Okay, well, we always buy bacon. A lot of people frown on bacon, but we try to make sure it's the bacon that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, because you'll be surprised some bacon does have a lot of sugar. We're gonna get the cream for the coffee, and this is whole cream. It has no carbs. I try to buy things that have either one or no carbs. We're gonna make sure we have coffee, and
Yeah.
I like these little. It's the sugar-free little, I have a lot of them. We have a little coffee bar right here,
Yeah.
but the little Torrenos, the little sugar-free, and that way you make your coffee taste like you just got something really good. Because a lot of times it's psychological when people think, well, I'm deprived, I don't get to taste all these wonderful tastes. Yes, you can. You just gotta. And some places they have different, I think a Skinny Girl has some. It's a lot of people who have the different. That way you don't feel deprived. Then some people will make stuff with the syrups, but you have to be careful because if it says sugar alcohol, if you eat too much sugar alcohol, it will make you go to the restroom.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful, and it can also give you gas.
Yeah, great. Coffee is a really important staple in my home. My husband, when he opens the cupboard and starts seeing that we are low on coffee, oh my goodness, like that is it. Like coffee is a must-have in this house. So I'll share with you what I do with my coffee. Sometimes I like to switch it up just so we can have a couple different things. First of all, I do whole milk. I can either do full cream or whole milk, but I use whole milk for the most part. Organic, whole milk, lactose free, just because I'm lactose intolerant. I like to add, let me show you what I have here. I have what's called XCT. It's a bulletproof oil.
Yes, I've heard of that.
This is really great. It's a high performance MCT. They call it smart fat just because it's really great to kind of help the help your metabolism. It's got some highly refined coconut oil, really, really good stuff.
I'm glad you said something about the fat. I have lost more weight this time making sure I have some fat every day.
Yes. Yeah. And there's like a science behind this, right, Ernesta? There's a science behind this because the traditional way is that our body gets fueled by sugar. It's what we've been taught. We're the high carb society. So we get our energy from sugar. And so even though we're not on keto, but what we learn from keto is that when your body shifts from getting your fuel from sugar and using fat instead, then there's a difference in the metabolism. And you can read more about that and do your own research. But it helps me understand when I'm picking up a food, oh, it's because it's fat, I can't have fat. Well, you can't mix fat and carbs because that's a really, really bad combination.
Right.
You try and get from one or the other. And so I also
unless it's like a green leafy, like greens or cabbage, sometimes you could use that kind of
exactly. And then I also add, I don't know if anyone's heard of like bulletproof coffee, but I also add a little bit of ghee butter on my
I like
coffee.
that.
I add some cinnamon in there and then I whip it up. I put it in the little, bullet mixer or whatever. And that's a really great way to have some really tasty coffee. You put a frother in it and you feel like you're having a cappuccino and it tastes
you just feel fancy.
And of course you need a gorgeous mug, right? Like you gotta have a gorgeous mug and your gorgeous cup. When we started this low carb, diet, and I tell my husband, I'm like, well, we're gonna try and do keto, but we're gonna start doing low carb. And after I started giving him these beautiful recipes, like, I love this. He's like, this is more delicious than regular food. Like this morning we had our scrambled eggs with avocado, turkey bacon.
Oh yeah.
And some fried cheese. Talk about breakfast, right? With some delicious coffee. And I'm still full, right? I haven't, I don't have my food yet for this evening, but that's just a really great way to go. So you can get fancy. You can get right? So cheese is a staple that we
I
have
I
every
love
Christmas,
cheese.
right?
And like I get these little Philadelphia cream cheese with this one has the garlic and herb, and then now they make a Philadelphia dip. I don't know if you can see it. They
Ah,
make a
yeah.
Philadelphia dip, and
I love that.
I give me some celery. Celery has become my potato chip. I
Ooh,
cut the celery up, put it in some water, and when I put it in the refrigerator, it makes it real crispy.
I
So when
love
you
that.
put your stuff, you go, I mean, and I think, like I said, psychological, you don't feel like you're giving up your chip and dip.
Yes, yes. Talking about cheese, I found these amazing. I didn't leave it in the bag just because I have these. They're called cheese crisps, and they're a really, really great snack to have. I put these in a nice bowl. They're cheese that it's just 100% cheese. There's no carb to it.
Really?
Yes.
Did you make it or you bought it like
So
that?
you can make it. I've looked up the recipe. It's not that hard to make because it's only cheese.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they're like very crispy because they're like dried pieces of cheese and they're very,
Uh-huh.
very good.
So
Will
so where did
this
look, well hold up, where'd you find the cheese, Chris?
They have them at like our local supermarket, Publix. I know you're in Arkansas, or BJ's, our wholesale club place.
Like I wonder where Sam's have it. We're getting
Probably,
a Costco. I don't know when it's gonna be
yeah.
built, but we're getting a Costco.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do I have this with? Well, like have it. An apple is a very low glycemic index fruit, and it's a really. I did research on apples the other day, and that's what they say. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Like it, apples have an amazing benefit. So we'll have like apples with cheese, and we'll do some nuts, right?
Oh
Like
yeah. I keep some nuts.
in our wholesale club as well. This has cashews, almonds, hazelnuts, pecans, and pistachios, which is
Yeah.
like an amazing blend. So this is my husband and I snack like every afternoon um, because it's an excellent source of good omega fats. It has the apples and the fiber, and then the cheese with some protein along with the nuts. So that's a really great way to go and just enjoy your snacks on a daily basis. What
And
else? I brought some other. Just making sure
just
also we have like really good oils in the house, right? Like I have
oh yeah.
avocado, coconut oil.
Coconut
Um,
coconut and olive oil are your best oil. I can fry with the coconut oil. I think with the olive oil they don't want to get a certain temperature, so I'm
exactly.
always kind of iffy about that. But it's good. Oil is good for us. Some people put the coconut oil in their coffee
Hmm.
to give it
Yes,
that help with
it's
that fat that they need to take. But
absolutely.
while we're talking about snacks,
Yeah.
it's good for people who are working outside the house. Like the little packages of tuna. I mean, these are like you can get these at I think at the dollar store or your regular
Hmm.
stores. But what keeps you from getting off is having some snacks. Have you some little peanuts and stuff in your desk. So here's some little walnuts. Have some things where if you want something sweet, here's a little sugar-free Jello. If I go somewhere like I'm gonna be out during that day running errands, I make sure I take something with me.
Yes.
Because if I stop and go to a restaurant or somewhere, sometimes that'll get you off. Because depending
Hmm.
on how stressed you are from COVID, and now we have to wear the mask, and some places that's like if I go to a grocery store, sometimes I'll wear my gloves still because especially when there's a lot of people. And I think now I'm seeing so many people at the store because I think they think we're gonna have another shutdown where you have to stay in. So they're starting to get stuff because every time we
Hmm.
go to Sam's, and then plus it's the holiday season too.
Mhm.
But here lately, every time I go to the store, it's like packed. Everybody's out. But
Yes.
have you some snacks? A little. I have some little sugar-free candy. You know, if I just sometimes if you just put a piece of hard candy in your mouth, if you want something sweet, that'll help you. Just what makes you go off rail is when you say, "Well, there's some cookies in there. I'm gonna eat some cookies," or "Here's a piece of cake from so and so's birthday party." That's what gets you off.
Well, and the trick is, you don't buy it. You can't eat what you don't buy. So
Exactly.
here, here's been my lifesaver the past couple of weeks. I have my own printable. I created this little worksheet.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get it.
You need one of these copies. I actually use these in my coaching sessions with women that I help, doing menu plans, which I love. And here's what this is. Anybody that wants it, I'd be more than happy to just email it to you. So it's a little freebie. So here you have the days of the week, right? Monday through Sunday. And then over here, you have your shopping list.
Okay.
So you work your menu here. You do, you can put here breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Write the, what you're planning to eat, and then you
Mm-hmm.
do your shopping list based on your planned meal schedule.
That is
That way, you're
very
not in
good.
the supermarket like, oh my
Now,
God,
now I know I need to get.
that is
Do I?
the least in the world for me. First of all, I don't like food shopping. It's so tedious. It's like I have so much to do that food shopping for me is just like I just need to get it over with. I already do the cooking. I already do the planning. Like I order like this COVID thing, trust me, has been like a blessing just because I get to order everything online and
But sometime at our store,
it comes to a
they'll
spoiled
tell
house.
us it's out, but then when we go up to the store, it's there. So I don't know if they're not putting everything in the
That's
system.
a little bit of yeah, sometimes that does happen, but I take the chance anyway. But this really helps. This really helps because I feel for me it takes the stress out of figuring things out,
Mm-hmm.
of not having the ingredient that I need to cook, and then that's when I fail. I realize my biggest failures come from lack of planning.
And
And
that's important. You got to know what the triggers are for you.
yes, yes. So I'm like, okay, if I just get this plan together, it will help me to get better. And it's honestly been life-changing for me. This little sheet has kept me focused, kept me on track, kept me buying what I need to buy, and then you don't overspend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about like you overspend a supermarket. I have a full pantry of stuff that you don't like even gets expired because you don't use. Like it's just a waste of so many things. So great thing is that if you do like 5 or 6 of these every week, you just pick one and you have a meal plan for life, right? Do them for 6 weeks and
Right,
4 weeks and just change them over week 1, 2, 3, and 4,
right.
and you are good. So, and then it just becomes a habit in your life and you already know what to get every week and it just becomes simpler. And you don't buy what you're not tempted to,
Right. And that is so good. Now the only thing with us, my husband likes for us to eat out at least 3 times, sometimes
Oh,
4 times a week. We gonna eat out.
I hear
My
you.
my son's mother-in-law, when she was living, bless her heart, she would say, "Don't you ever cook?" And I told her one day, I said, "My husband doesn't want me to use our time for me to cook." And she's like, "Oh, okay." But so what I have to do,
Answer.
I have to, in my mind, like if there's always a question, where you want to go to eat? My husband doesn't eat anything but beef, sausage, and bacon. So that means no chicken, no fish, no pork. So I always said, well, whatever restaurant you pick, I'll find something on the menu I like. So once he tells me where we're going, usually while we're in the car, I'm looking at the menu and trying to say, okay, what am I going to
You're,
eat? Okay,
you're pre-planning.
I'm free playing.
That's awesome.
I have to. So
That's
when I
awesome.
get there, I know exactly what I want and I tell them how I want it. And so I'm good.
Wow. Wow. That
And
is
it's
awesome.
been working. It
Yeah.
it has been
Yeah.
working.
Man, for me, eating out is hard. It's hard to stay on track. It's very difficult. For me, home is like a safe haven. I know what's in my fridge. I
Right?
don't have any cookies. I don't have any sweets. Like, can't be tempted. Like, unless I have like rice in the pantry, like, or pasta, that's like my big temptations. But if I'm out, like yesterday, forget it. Like, after church, we had Spanish food. We have what we call
Oh,
mofongo, and it's plantain.
oh,
I had half with breaded steak, and I said, forget it. There went my low carb for the day. But I had no breakfast,
right.
so
And just drink water. What I've done, if I mess up, I just drink, give me some. Sometimes I give me a little apple cider vinegar, put it in the water, and I drink that, and that's gonna help it flush through your system. But you were saying something about
yes.
the rice. You told me about the cauliflower rice. Oh my goodness. I
Oh,
made some fried rice and put some shrimp in it. And so now if I want some rice, by the time I put that I use the amino acid instead of using the soy sauce.
coconut amino
It's
acid. Yes,
it's
I
supposed
just
to be
bought
better.
that.
Okay.
I
That's
just
right.
bought that. I haven't even tried it yet.
That it tastes just like soy sauce to me.
Really?
Yes, but it's
Okay.
healthier because we're supposed to have the aminos and stuff. So I
Yes.
use a little of that with just like I do the fried rice and put that in there. And I put some
Okay.
butter and garlic with the fried rice because that's what they do at the
Amazing.
restaurant. They use the garlic butter. And then I just do onion, bell pepper, and I get the package that's already pre-cut with the onion, bell pepper. It has the
Yes.
onions, red bell pepper, and the green bell pepper. But I'll use that in my fried rice and I put some shrimp in it and put that. Oh my goodness, it's
So
good.
good. So good.
Yes.
Oh
And
my
and
goodness.
the cauliflower is like hardly nothing. It's like no carbs hardly at
No
all.
carbs. No carbs on. You know what I made for the first time the other day? I made cauliflower mashed potatoes.
Now, how was that? Did you use it from the bag of the
I went,
cauliflower rice?
I went organic, fresh
Oh,
cauliflower.
yeah.
Let me tell you, I got to show you my new thing that I just got this week. I actually have it to the page here. I got this book. It's a keto book, but you could kind of, it's
Mm-hmm.
by the Wholesome Yum. I follow them on Facebook. They have amazing recipes and
Okay.
subscribe to their
Okay.
recipes. And it's called the Wholesome Yum Easy Keto. And here it is, loaded cauliflower mash. It was an excellent
Mm.
recipe. I'd love to definitely share that with you. But very easy. It's cauliflower, butter, sour cream, heavy cream, and garlic and cheddar cheese.
That
And then
sounds
if you
good.
garnish it with bacon bits, which
Yes.
I never used to buy and I just bought, and some green onions. And that's it.
Oh,
Very
I,
simple. Here's the
I bet
thing.
your husband loved that one too, didn't he?
He loved it. He absolutely loved it. You
And he
know,
couldn't tell. He couldn't hardly
he
tell.
couldn't tell until obviously I told him. He's like, oh, well, that's why it tastes just a little different. But he
Mhm.
ate the entire thing. He ate the entire thing. And I had to do this really strange thing that I added to it because because it was an organic cauliflower. I had some carrots and I added a few carrots in there just to
Uh-huh.
kind of help make it a little more. And so it came out a little orangey and it gave it a
Uh-huh.
little sweetness. So I was like, let me just try this really insane thing, and it came out good. It was about 3/4 cauliflower and a quarter.
Now that would be a good idea for Thanksgiving. A little,
Yeah.
orange for Thanksgiving.
Yes, very very true. Very
Mm-hmm.
true. So that's been a blessing too. Is the cookbook. which is a new addition because oftentimes getting ideas is
Yeah.
my frustration. Is like, what do I make? How do I make it? What ingredients do I need? And then I get stuck and then I'm like, forget it. So I spent a couple hours researching that book and writing down some things. And so that's been easy. So
Well, I'm
yeah.
I'm really glad that a lot of companies realize that a lot of people are doing low carb. And you'll see I notice new products when I go to the grocery store. People are making it low carb, which is so good. It makes it so much better. And then I bought you can't see it back there, it's behind one of those angels. It's the air fryer. I put bacon in the air fryer, I put chicken in the air fryer, hamburger. I can take the frozen hamburger patties, put them in the air fryer. I bought a big one so that I could, do that. Frozen sausage, I'll put it in the fryer. Any kind of meat that I buy, I can put it in the air fryer and you can eat in no time.
That's been an amazing blessing here as well. And, it's just really us finding the tools that we need
Yes.
that are going to make this journey a successful one. Without the tools, without planning, without figuring out what it is that we want to do, then we're probably bound to fail in our, weight loss journey, in our health journey. So that's why this becomes incredibly important. So, I think we just want to share our journey and what we do and share our tools. And,
Right.
any questions that you have, feel free to, comment or,
Yes.
send us a message. And, if you want one of these weekly planners, I'd be more than happy to send this to you, or anything that we've mentioned. Feel free to ask us any questions. So,
And don't beat yourself up if you have a day that you kind of go over. I try to stay between 50 and less. Sometime now if it's a holiday, I might, like, I know I'm making dressing. If that's a southern thing. I'm making we're having brisket and dressing. Now I'm gonna have a chicken that's a rotisserie, but I'm gonna eat some dressing. I'm not gonna go crazy, but then I'm gonna make sure that I, drink plenty of water when I finish. But don't beat yourself up, but allow for it. So that whole day I'll be doing my intermittent fasting. I'll probably just do the one Thanksgiving meal. And then the rest of the day I may have like maybe a salad if I get hungry later on. Because I love to just chop up a cucumber and put a little dressing on it. I get those long cucumbers. I think they're called belchless cucumbers, but they're the real
yes,
long ones.
yes.
And I'll cut one of those up and make a whole salad out of it. But don't beat yourself
Wow.
up, just plan to do that so that you won't just get off balance. So you know what I would like for us to talk about on our next show? Since we're on this, it's the holidays and we're talking about health, I want us to talk about some of the supplements that we use, because we really didn't go into the supplements this time, because I know both of us are really working on, staying healthy, especially during this COVID. So let's plan to tell our audience about some of the health products that we're using. How's that sound?
Perfect. Great. That sounds great.
So you have anything else to add? Do we
No,
cover all the things on your cabinet, on your...
there's a million more things I'd like to share, but I know we're gonna have so many more segments and we're gonna be able to share so many more things. And just excited, for every woman out there that is really just trying to, get their health going. And there's nothing more amazing than to feel great
Yes.
about yourself and about the choices you make, and just feel great in life in general, right? Sometimes we spend so much energy working and taking care of everyone else that we leave ourselves on the back burner. And as queens, we learn how to make the right choices. Queens are excellent
Yes.
at making choices. And that's what we want to help and encourage you and inspire you to really
Yes.
help you make the choices that are going to take you to the lifestyle that you ultimately want. So I think that's it for now. And you know what? Thank you everyone for just staying
For-
tuned with us, to getting to know each and every one of you
Yes.
personally. And, you know, drop a comment, share this for any woman that, you know, wants to be inspired in their lifestyle journey. And we are just so excited to be a part of your
Yes.
journey and to have you in our lives as well. So from Queen to Queen TV, we thank you so much for being a part of this segment today, and we look forward to talking with you soon again.
So please like, subscribe, and share.